Beth Van Duyne. Congresswoman, great to see you. Trump's enemies are claiming that Trump is planning for an invasion of Panama on day one. Remember, of course, he was sandwiched between two presidents who had a number of wars start on their watch. Didn't happen under Donald Trump. So we can pretty much discount that would happen. But he does think, and I do as well, and a lot of Americans, that there's a problem when the Chinese are operating so much of the Panama Canal. So how does he get the Chinese off of the Panama Canal?
Well, I think what he's doing is he's signaling America is back with Trump now in the White House. Enough of us getting beat up, ignored, taking a back seat to the rest of the world. His family is not getting paid off by the Chinese government. So it's not as if he's got to worry about that. What he's saying is China is probably one of our number one national security threats, and it's definitely one of our number one opponents when you think about our economic growth and our economic influence around the world. So I think what he's talking about is taking it head on, recognizing it, calling it out, and actually having a plan to deal with it. He's not talking about military invasions. What he's talking about is using the power of our economy, the power of American influence, to be able to compete with China. It's about getting American energy independence back, American energy dominance back. It's about releasing all of these American businesses from the handcuffs that this Biden administration has put on them with all this overregulation. It's about letting the job creators of America get out of the binds that the Biden administration, the Democrats have put on them, to be able to hire people, to be able to actually get more businesses from around the world to be able to give money, to want to do work in the U.S., to bring their businesses either back or to actually look at investing in further businesses in America. Mm-hmm. This is about America First agenda. We should not be apologizing, nor should Democrats be shocked or opposed to it.
And just to follow up, Congresswoman, on some of those points, they're also relevant when we talk about Canada. So when Trudeau came down and he went to Mar-a-Lago, it was Thanksgiving weekend, tongue-in-cheek. The president said that Canada was going to be the 51st state, and now here we are kind of talking about it again. But Canada's in a lot of trouble right now, collapsing politically. Ultimately, how do you see this relationship playing out?
Look, you look at who was closest to us, proximity, we've got Mexico to our south, we've got Canada to the north. I think we could do a lot of great work. But again, we have just seen the last 4 years, we've been kind of Canada's whipping boy, and that's got to stop. But I think, President-elect Trump is being very clear that that is not the way that the business is going to be as usual moving forward. I think there's a lot of trade opportunities, but if we have to use the threat of tariffs or actual tariffs to be able to get attention, that's what he's going to do. And as you can tell, it's already working. I mean, the man is not even in the office. He hasn't even sworn in. It's not January 20th yet. Yeah. And let's face it, he's acting more as a president than our current president.
Well, and not only on our interests, but also what one could say that he is bringing to the forefront for Canadians, the fact that they are overtaxed, that they have a president who seemed to fold like a cheap suit, or prime minister, forgive me, Mr. Trudeau, in front of him when he went down on a bended knee. So, I mean, he's actually having an effect not only on future policy that he might implement, foreign policy, but also on what happens up in Canada.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And they're going to continue to exert this influence because he's a very strong president, which we have not had. It's a brand new day come January 20th. And what we're going to be able to achieve. I'm on the Ways and Means Committee. I'm very excited to be able to work on trade policy. When you talk about what's gone on in the last 4 years, not a whole lot. We have an ability to be able to exert some influence in other areas of the country, be it Canada or Mexico, other areas of Latin America, Africa, even in the Middle East, that we have missed out on numerous opportunities over the last years. And as a result, that vacuum is being filled by China, who's going to have long-lasting implications in those regions where we have just been void. And I am very excited to work with the president on moving forward to reestablish America's dominance around the world.
Congresswoman, switching gears, talking about tax cuts, because that's a huge agenda item for him. Yep. It's something that the American people are looking forward to. It's one of the reasons, the economy, that they voted for him. So he's got a lot of work to do because he needs to extend the tax cuts that he implemented last time. He's got corporate tax cuts that he's going to implement. He's promised people things like cutting taxes on Social Security and also on tips. How does he get his tax agenda through in a timely fashion where it can impact people?
Well, Well, I think people need to understand that the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that was established under the Trump administration was a huge success. The benefits, the economic growth that we saw as a direct result of those tax cuts and those tax policies were extraordinary. It had went from 1.5% in growth to 2.6% in just 2 years, where it had been more or less stagnant for the previous 10. If we are unable to get those tax cuts extended, which many of them expire in 2025, nearly 90% of all American taxpayers are going to see a massive tax increase. We're going to see tens of millions of families that are going to have their child tax credit cut in half. We're going to see 90% of American taxpayers lose their deduction. It's going to go down by half. So it's imperative that we make sure that we extend those. And so I think part of making sure that we do that is, one, to have it in one reconciliation package, which is what I've been advocating.
Good.
But two, if we're not able to do that, making sure that the Democrats understand these are your constituents that are going to be suffering. As much as you cry out that you care about working families, that you care about that single mom with 2 kids, show it. Help us pass a tax package that will establish American businesses to be able to hire, invest in their businesses, invest in the people that work there. It's going to be critical for us to move forward to help our economy.
And by the way,
One
they didn't
package.
cost money. They gained money.
Yeah.
We got an extra $1.5 trillion in tax revenue since it was passed in 2017. So that
Absolutely.
lie, I hope we can put to bed for once and for all. Congresswoman, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it.